with who you are. This is Dr. Dancing Lion. How did you
SisStar.
come up with that name? I have so many questions. What's your
I didn't come up with it. It's on my birth certificate.
Dr. Dancing Lion is on your birth certificate?
Well, the doctor part I earned. The dancing lion part, I'm what's you euphemistically called a Black Indian. And if you want to know more about that, then there's an awesome documentary, and I believe it's available on YouTube. Last time I checked, it's there. I'll send you the link. And it's called Black Indians, and it's really very common in that back in the day, the enslaved Africans were actually forbidden from speaking to the indigenous people of this land here, Turtle Island, because the cultures were so similar. The music, the food, the traditions, the love and appreciation and honor of nature, etc. Very, very similar to the West Africans that were captured and enslaved and brought here. So I am of Ga blood, which is from Ghana. So I'm an Ashanti woman. And so, in honor of my righteous ancestors here, I'm standing and sitting in front of the kente cloth that was woven for me and presented to me in Ghana as a
Oh,
medicine
wow.
woman who carries teachings and does healing work and that. And so, I'm sure you've heard that, only royalty is allowed to really wear a true kente cloth, and
Exactly.
that's somewhat true. It's members of the clergy and royalty, and so I'm considered a member of clergy, and so I have the right to have and to wear kente cloth.
Oh,
So that
wow.
was, yeah, and so that's part of my blood. But the other part is in the if you watch the Black Indians documentary, then and you'll know it's the right one because it's narrated by a very famous Black Indian, which is James Earl Jones. And so when it was time to go, and Harriet said, "Come on, we out." Then a lot of assistance was rendered by the native people of the land, and so the Underground Railroad is also the Trail of Tears. And so they assisted us. So the Native American people assisted the African people that were running away for their freedom. And some of them stayed intermarried and had little brown babies like me. And so I'm of mixed blood, and so I am Ashanti Maasai, and also Anishinaabe, which is that's what we call ourselves. Anishinaabe is our word for ourselves, but people had a way of renaming you if they couldn't pronounce or didn't want to
Right.
call you what you called yourself. So Anishinaabe people are actually what's more popularly known in the US and in Canada as the Ojibwa or Ojibwe people.
Ojibwe
They're-
people, yes. I did some work with Ojibways.
uh, Unfortunately, both of those names are racial slurs.
No.
Yes, that's not what we call ourselves. So, right. So, in that, people of color were often called colored or what other euphemisms. That's what Ojibwe, AKA, or Chippewa. So, known more so as Chippewa in Canada, and known more so as Ojibwe in this side of the border in the United
Right.
States. Right, neither of which are accurate.
Wow.
So, right. So it's a fascinating story. But anyway, we were forbidden from, it was on pain of death that we were seen talking to each other because they knew that they were helping us get away. So that's the background. So anyway, I'm a dancing lion on I got it honest. And but I also carry a West African name as well, and so and that's through both of my elders, and so so anyway, I'm a naturopathic physician, and herbalist, medical herbalist, and more recently, as in the last 10 years, became a personal trainer, and then last, a yogi. And
A yogi.
yeah, that was like the last thing that came into my life. And I was always interested in being strong. I come from warrior people on both sides,
Right.
and so that was very natural and normal for me. But the soft side, or the gosh, how do I want to say this? Not soft, but the more allowing side, or
I see. Yeah.
I know you understand what I'm kind of getting at here. That came to me last, and I think I was a little bit resistant to anything that smacked of yielding or softness, because of my history, because of where I come from, because of who my people are. And so it was interesting. I purchased a Groupon, of all things, to I had never done yoga ever in my life, and I I bought a Groupon, and I was like, let me see what this yoga is all about, right? And I took a bus, and it was pouring down rain, and I had my little mat that I had gotten from some discount store or whatever, and I was like, I'm ready to experience this yoga stuff. And I got off the bus, and I was a little bit early, and I got there to the door, and there were like 3 or 4 people in the studio. It was all glass door and window, and you could see inside. And they were in there, but the door was locked. And I mean, we're talking deluge. It was coming down sideways. And I'm like, please, let me in. It was like 5, maybe 10 minutes early, if that. They would not let me in. And they sat there and watched me
What?
get just. And when they finally opened the door, I'm like, and they're like, it was for our safety,
What?
right? We have to be mindful of our safety, and the way it was said, the energy in which it was said,
Right.
the way they were
Right.
looking at me, only folks who know.
Yeah. Exactly.
You knew what it was. You knew what it was. I knew what it was. I was clear about what it was. Um, and it just, my heart.
I know.
But I was already there, and I was like, I'm not a quitter. And then the warrior was like, you will persist and go forward. And I
Yes.
went ahead
Right.
and took the class. I was not allowed to leave the room to get water. They said I couldn't drink water. They said I couldn't rest. This was my first yoga class ever in my life.
Oh my goodness.
I was not allowed to rest. I wasn't allowed to um, to go to the bathroom. It was a heated class.
Oh, so you hot yoga, huh?
So we know, I'm not going to name
I know. Right.
it. And it was horrible. And I have to thank them. I have to thank them for treating me that way, because what I left with was, wow, this is not soft like I thought it was.
Mm.
And also, um, I or anybody I know could do better at teaching this. And I can't be the only one that's been treated this way.
Mm-hmm.
And what would it take for me to become an instructor? So honest to heavens, I really do thank them for how inhospitable they were to me, because it lit a fire in me. And it was interesting, but and here's the thing, and we're going to get to the part where you are involved in this story.
Oh.
So, you're in there. And what it lit a fire in me to teach, but it did not do anything in me to want to become a yogi.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
And yeah, so that's where I always kind of went to. I always went to, I got to do this for my people, but not for me.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't cross my cranium that it was for me,
Mm-hmm.
and that it was for me. And so I went off and registered with no, now remember, that was my first class.
Right.
I had no yoga experience. I went off and registered for a teacher training for yoga therapy.
Oh.
It was not in the state. I had to get on a bus every Thursday and go to another state for classes for Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, and Mondays for a couple of years to
Wow.
become, yes, to become a yoga therapist.
I am
because
finding out so much about you.
because I wanted, because what I'd done the research and it said yoga therapy, is where if someone has been injured or hurt or whatever,
Yeah.
and you can learn how to put together a yoga protocol specifically for them, for their injuries, for what they're going through, so that they can heal. So in my mind,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, as a naturopathic doctor, and I do massage therapy, and I
Mm-hmm.
do cupping and herbal medicine, that fit.
Right.
Still
Nope.
not like, ooh, I should do yoga for me to heal my heart, to heal the wounds in my beingness, to heal my anger, to my, okay, never happened. That did not happen. Okay. So I went all the way to school, finished school for yoga therapy, and did the classes because they were classes, and but still never like a personal relationship
Right.
and practice of yoga and meditation for me,
Hmm.
until this lady I had never ever met but had been following on Instagram for years and years and years. And we had just clicked and become sisterin without ever talking or meeting.
Yeah.
Just kindred spirits, just knowing each other because we knew, but what we knew, but
Mm.
never having met in real life, said, hey, I'm doing this 30-day yoga experience. You want to do it with me? And we can be sister in accountability and do it together. And I say, sure.
Of
And
course.
I want to believe that was, I think it was true. I believe it to be true, which means that was like 6
6
or the
years
one before true,
ago? Right.
6 years ago. Yeah.
Wow. Yes.
You
I.
invited me and I was like, okay. I had no clue. I had no idea. And it wasn't a class that I was taking so I could help my people. And
Mm.
I wept my way through the first class, second class, third class. Every day I am semi-fetal
Mm.
on the floor, crying. Can't, it just,
Release.
this happened, the great purge.
Mm.
And I had no idea all that was in there.
Mm.
Had no idea that a personal practice would do that with me and to me and for me. And I was hooked. I was hooked, and it was physically challenging. I'm a gear Vic. I do kettlebells, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
I can pick up heavy kettlebells all day long, no problem. It doesn't, I'm passionate about it. I love it. I do TRX and all that other stuff like that. You know what I
Yeah. Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
It didn't touch me. It didn't do that. It didn't open me,
Mm.
right? But this did. It cracked me wide open. And I knew that it was medicine,
Mm.
and it was medicine that I needed. And no way was I ever going to get that medicine from that place that
Yeah.
I went to. All it did was put more shields and more
Mm-hmm.
rocks and more stuff in there. And even the way I did school as a yoga to become a yoga therapist was that same thing. It was born from anger,
Yeah.
you know? I mean, I'm glad I did it, and
Right.
I'm able to assist people with it, but it
Right.
wasn't ever for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but so, sister, thank you. Because I had no idea. I had no idea. So I came to yoga through the back door.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Which
And
so
I
many
would
of us
say,
do. Uh-huh.
yeah, however the righteous ones wanted it to happen for me, but
Right.
that's how it went down. And
Wow.
of course, then I was hooked and I started doing yoga every single day and I developed a personal practice and it developed me. I'm not going to say I
Mm-hmm.
developed a personal practice. I did nothing. It did me.
Mm-hmm.
And as you know from your inner work, either you do it or it'll do you. It will
And
find
that's
you.
the truth.
It knows where you live.
Sure does. You cannot
Right?
hide.
You
Mm-mm.
cannot hide. And I think it saved an important part of who I was, who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And it softened me, it opened me, and um, that rage was poisoning
Mm.
me. And I'm so glad that I vomited it all out, class after class after class. And I knew that I had crossed an important line when I didn't always cry.
Yeah.
And one of my teachers told me that tears were is the aroma of holy work,
Mm.
and I didn't know what she meant.
Mm.
I had apprenticed with her. I apprenticed with Susan Weed, who's a very well-known um, wise woman herbalist and kind of the grandmother of the wise woman herbal tradition. And I went and lived with her for years and years and years and was her apprentice and then her intern. And God, that was like 30 years ago. But anyway,
Wow. Mm-hmm.
yeah. And, we're still in contact to today. And I love her. I think, she's really kind of my other mom. She raised me in another way.
Mm-hmm.
And, but in any case, she told me that one day. And I guess I didn't understand it. I think I was
Wow.
about to cry on the farm. She lives on a 44-acre farm in upstate New York, in Woodstock, New York. And something happened, an animal died or whatever. And I almost was going to cry. And then
Mm.
and that's what I have always done.
Mm.
And she told me then, she said, my dear, tears are the aroma of holy work. And I was like, I don't know what you just said, but I'm a warrior and warriors don't do that. And it is, I'm gonna say, since I've started that my true yoga journey, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, that I now finally understand what that means.
Mm. That's so powerful. I mean, thank you for sharing that because that's the first time I've heard that phrase. And so it's impacted me, and I know I'm going to have to meditate on it.
Yeah.
Um, thinking back to my own journey as it continues and continues to unfold. And so what it brings to mind for me is for us, we people of color, those melanated kings and queens. We need this. Though there are many of us that don't even know that we need it. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
And I don't want to say mission, it was more like my purpose as I continue to look through that lens is to help expose it and bring it. You know what I'm trying to say is we need it in so, and in this day and age, Oh, mm.